Well, it felt like it was there for the taking for a moment. Maybe not for the taking, at least for the tying, at least for overtime. But Texas A&M comes up short against Alabama in the first ever top 10 matchup at Reed Arena, 94-88. Ben Peck here on the All In Aggies YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a quick breakdown, recap of tonight's action. What we saw here tonight, first of all, the most notable thing, you can't see it, maybe down there you can see it, the free throw line. Atrocious for both teams, by the way. A&M shooting 28 of 48, 58%. The Crimson Tide did not shoot much better. The Tide only 27 for 40, so they missed 13 shots, only 67.5%. So not clean from either side. By the way, not a clean game in general. Almost 3 hours. There was upwards of 50 fouls called. Let's see, the final number, 58 fouls called between both teams combined. Yet only, I think, 2 players fouled out. You had one for Alabama, 2 for Alabama. Grant Nelson fouled out late. He actually fouled out twice because he should have got called for a 4th foul that was given to someone else, and then his 5th foul came later, and his 6th foul came very late in the second half. And then Zurich Phelps fouled out toward the end of the game when they're trying to get the ball back and get back in control. I guess Solomon Washington also fouled out as well. So 4 players foul out, 58 fouls, 88 free throw attempts between the two teams. Now beyond that, Alabama, we know they like to shoot the 3 ball. Buzz Williams talked about they're the Daryl Morey, like the OG Daryl Morey college basketball team. They either shoot in the paint in the restricted area or from the 3. Where I'm standing right now, and the 2s from the wood, as Coach said, they don't shoot them. They only shoot 7% of their shots from there. So they did shoot the 3s, 13 to 37, which 35%, that's not, by 3-point shooting standards, it's not out of your mind, but good enough to get the job done. And Coach talked about, I think, probably the biggest factor in all this, aside from the missed free throws, which, of course, for Texas A&M, it's really the lack of defensive rebounding. Alabama kind of out A&M'd A&M in this game. 24 offensive rebounds to 23, but keep in mind they had a lot fewer misses on the offensive side, Alabama did. So this was Buzz Williams touching on that dynamic.
When you get a stop, we probably are playing from a pace standpoint a little faster. When we get 2, particularly if we're scoring, that looks pretty. We just didn't get enough of the 3rd consecutive stop. So in that stretch, there must have been stop, score, basket, Alabama. I think the lever was 50% of the time they missed it, they got it back. And so now all of a sudden, from a pace standpoint, we're not going to win time of possession in regards to trying to control the pace. Whether we want to play fast or slow, you can't have time of possession if you don't have the ball. But they're getting an extra possession.
The ball didn't fall our way. We missed too many free throws. They took our recipe and just performed it better. They offensive rebound better than us. Really just, that's all it is.
A few other things you want to touch on here, just going through not every person on the team, but some of the notable performances in my mind. Number 1, of course, Zurich Phelps, filling in for Wade Taylor, out again with the undisclosed injury. He puts on, maybe not quite puts on a superhero cape, but he plays really well, 24 points. And I think, too, not efficient from the field, 9 to 29, did not really get the 3-point shot going, but really nobody did for A&M, just 4 of 18. But felt like he was the guy who, when A&M needed the spark, when they fell behind double digits in the second half, or it seemed like Alabama was about to stretch it out and make it a bigger lead, Zurich Phelps would kind of take control, assert himself, drive to the paint, get to the free throw line. Didn't make half his free throw shots, but still gave you the opportunity, gave you the energy, played good defense, and forced the issue to the point where you got this within 3 points, and had a chance towards the end. Also, a big shout out to Pharrell Payne. He continues to be just, maybe not dominant, but very effective in the low post. And in terms of what A&M needs in terms of its identity, they need it. They don't have the 3-point shooting, and just relying on wings, driving to the rim, and scoring and or misses and putting them back, I don't think that's enough. So you need like a legit interior presence. he did great in that regard. 22 points, 9 rebounds. And then Henry Coleman, I thought, played with a lot of energy, played good defense, double-double, 11 rebounds, 12 points, moving up and down the floor. Still, some things here and there to clean up, but all in all, I thought his energy was very useful. And then Hayden Hefner, probably his best game we've seen in quite some time. 5 rebounds, 18 points, and he was probably the guy, as we saw in the last possession, top of the key, chance to tie the game. He was probably the guy you felt the best about if you needed a knockdown 3, probably your most, maybe not reliable option, because, again, it's not just Hayden. It's everyone on the team has been struggling, but probably the most comfortable option that you could draw up if you get a spot-up open 3 for Hayden Hefner. And had a couple that he made, had some offensive rebounds, some putbacks, some drives, got to the line, and, again, had the chance there towards the end to tie the game there and make this thing interesting. Mark, on the other side, flip it to the other side, just kind of, I think, a fairly even performance across the board. Obviously, Mark Sears, 27 points. He's their guy, and he did that again tonight. They've leaned on him all season. Grant Nelson provided a little versatility. Did knock down some threes, but was a factor in the low post. I thought Youngblood, provided some moments off the bench. So they had a couple guys off the bench. Holloway also providing some sparks, and just sort of, it felt like, whereas the opposite of A&M, maybe actually similar to A&M, where you have Sears, and then, full strength A&M, you have Wade Taylor. For Alabama, it's like, okay, if it's not Sears, you still have a handful of guys. It could really be any one of these guys who keeps you honest and keeps you in a position where, you don't necessarily know what's coming. Obviously, Grant Nelson is probably the most prominent interior post presence from a scoring standpoint, especially given how he can stretch the floor. But, it could be pick your poison with any of those guys. Sears did get it going, and I think that was probably one of the differences in the game. But you had, again, all those guys for them making clutch, timely shots, missing less of their free throws. They did start to miss some towards the end, which I think was also a big reason why A&M got back in the game. The disparity was not nearly as great early on as it was toward the end in terms of the percentage. The percentage for A&M in the first half was awful. I don't know how many and-one opportunities were. I'd love to go back and look at what the conversion rate on and-one opportunities was. It felt like none of them were converted into actual three-point plays. And it just, knowing how prominent Alabama can shoot the three, that's not all their offense again, but it just felt like for A&M to have to claw back into this game scoring 1s and 2s when Alabama could go off at any point, hit some threes, and or get their misses back and give them more chances. And they're scoring 2s and 3s, you're scoring 1s and 2s. That's a tough recipe for anyone. So A&M falls 94-88 here. Their first loss in SEC play. They get ready for Kentucky on Tuesday. We'll get ready with them and look ahead to the Wildcats, see if the Aggies can get back on track. I do think it spoke well of this team, the fact that they were able to sort of, similar to the Texas game that we talked about, an ugly game in a lot of ways, but still, all in all, you had opportunities and you had a chance. All right, I've never had the lights. I've had the lights turned out on me. I've never had the lights turned on for me, but that's making my shot go crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Ben Peck on the All In Aggies YouTube channel. Subscribe, like the video if you haven't already, and be sure to tap that subscribe button again to get all of our content throughout basketball season and the spring as we get ready for those sports to get going.